You ever watch something on YouTube about Path of Exile or watch a streamer and say, whoa, that is awesome. I want to know what they're doing. Have you ever watched a streamer or YouTuber and ever wanted to track the process of their character every couple of days? Have you ever like heard this term path of building or POB? Have you ever heard a streamer just say, pull my profile in POB? And you just sit there confused. You don't know what to do, how to work it. And you just look at this piece of software like it has 5 heads. Maybe you've never even seen this piece of software and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, today I want to do something a little bit different. Usually we talk about money making or currency farming and stuff like that. But today I just kind of wanted to talk about path of building and just like the very basics of it. And just kind of you as the person who wants to know more about that starter build, that thing that streamer is doing, have a way to build your own character, pretty much just basic tips and tricks for how this works. Now, as a content creator and, somebody who interacts with you a lot, I've seen a lot of you guys come by the stream or like different people stop by the Discord. And they say, hey, what are you playing? How can I see it? What's your POB? What's your character like? And I switch characters a lot. I test different things all the time, or I log out with certain pieces of gear on. And I always tell people, like, I don't have a POB or I don't have a video, just pull my profile if you want to see what I'm doing. And they look at me like I have 5 heads. Or like people ask for help with their builds and I'll be like, can you link me your POB? And they, once again, have no idea what I'm talking about. Now, there are a couple of things that we're going to do with path of building that brings it up. First things first, with your character, the POE website's restarting, so I've got to do this part of it pretty quick. With your own character, with your own build, with your own streamer, with your own friends, you can actually pull people's profiles as long as they're not private. So what does that mean? That means that if I go into import and export build and I type an account name, say your account name or my account name, and I hit start, it'll pull a profile. But if a profile is private and you can't pull a profile, say for yourself or for a streamer, there are ways around this. Step 1, if you want to pull your own profile, your profile is public, head to the Path of Exile website in the top left there, click on your character name, come over to edit privacy settings, unclick set profile as private, hit update. That's step 1 for pulling your own profile. Step 2 would be come back in here, put your account name in, hit pull, and then you can pull a profile. Now, we have that bit of information. Let's take a step back. You go, great, I have this. I know how to pull a profile now. Where do I get the software? The link for the software and path of building will be in the description down below. There's a great, wonderful, easy website. You click download, you download it, you install it, you get the software. Next, you say to me, hey, streamer, I want to pull your profile. I want to pull my favorite content creator's profile. What are ways that I could do this and how can I do this? Well, a really good way to do this, if you know the person's profile or you know what's going on. So I'm going to go over to Twitch, for example, and just say I'm watching, my favorite streamer, and I go to their chat and I type ! profile because they're online or offline, and there's a link to their profile. I can actually go to their profile and see their characters. Now, I tell people a lot, pull my profile in POB, go to my profile to see what I'm doing. And while this is a great piece of information, this lacks stuff. Like, I know I have this cluster, it doesn't show me. I want to know about the POB, I want to know about the numbers, I want to know what's going on. And pretty much what you can do is you can pull a streamer's profile or your friend's profile or your profile. You can copy their account name here. It's in between view characters or view profile and characters. I can pop it into POB. I hit new. I import it so I can put my name here. I'm going to actually see if there's like, I don't want to like, let me do this. I can even do the same thing. I'm going to use my buddy Anime Princess. I can even do the same thing. I can pull up Anime Princess's profile and I can grab his account name right here and I can just like put it in and you can see pretty much everybody's character. Now, what's really cool is you can actually like see what all of your friends are doing. So like if I wanted to like take a look at like somebody on my friends list, say, I don't know, we'll just pick anybody who's doing something. Diggs. We've copied Diggs' stuff before. You can actually like go to your friends list and see what your friends are doing too with this, which is like really cool. So I can just go Diggs, BL, I can put it in and I can pretty much pull what he's doing. Now, pulling your information on path of building is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. A lot of people really struggle with this. So I really wanted to just showcase that really quick. On top of that, you can also choose which client that you're playing on. So if you're playing on Xbox or PS4, you can choose Xbox and PS4. If you want help and you come by me and you ask for help and you say, hey, I'm on PS4, like here's my POV or here's my account name, we could pull your information. Other really cool and interesting things with Path of Building that, you know, for me, I didn't realize right away. Let's actually grab, which character do I want to grab? I'll grab my Chieftain. This is going to be the POV for my AFK Chieftain. And, you know, it's a really interesting character. We're missing stuff. Let's add what we're missing. I already know what I'm missing, so I can just add this really quick. And then this is a Mage Blood. Let's just add what I'm missing. With POV, if I pull somebody's profile and I just grab their information, I can get a lot of really cool info out of it. So one of the first things is I go import, I put the account name, I choose the league, I pick the character, I import passive tree and jewels, I import items and skills, and then I can take a look at things. Configurations we'll talk about in a second, but let's just start with the basics. The basics of Path of Building are really cool. It shows me a tree and I can see where people put their points, what they're doing with it. I can see what jewels they have, I can see what masteries they have, and I can pretty much follow along with my favorite content creator, with a YouTube, with a guide, with pretty much anything, and just kind of get a feel for what they're doing and how they're doing it. On top of that, I could see my skills, which a lot of people don't realize. You can actually check what weapon or what slot each of these skills are in. There's also little icons here that I'll tell you. You get to see the level and the quality. And I can see all of their items. Other really cool things with Path of Building, with the configurations tab, we can see and check all kinds of different things. You know, if you know your character uses power charges, you can choose power charges, frenzy charges, endurance charges. Does the character have onslaught? And every time I click one of these boxes, I can actually visibly see the differences. One of the major things that a lot of people do in Path of Building is they want to know if a character is tanky. So we're going to take that concept, or if a character does DPS. I don't know how to calculate a DPS on this character, so we're not going to use this character for DPS. But in terms of, is this character tanky? How do I check? I can actually set, is this enemy a boss? And I can choose what kind of enemy am I fighting? Am I fighting a standard boss? Am I fighting an uber boss? Am I fighting a pinnacle boss? Is it a regular white mob? Is it a mob in the, you know, is it the mob in mines? I can actually choose what kind of boss damage. Am I doing a guardian boss? Am I doing exarch balls? Am I doing serious meteors? Am I doing a series flame blast? And you can actually see, so like right now I have an effective hit pool of 33,000 versus a regular boss. But if I click Maven Memory Game, you can see that like my effective hit pool goes up a little bit. This doesn't tell me if I die or not, but I can just kind of just take a look at like what happens and how things work if I were to take each type of hit. Now, you obviously need to know the damage numbers of these types of hit to make sure that you can survive them, but like a serious meteor, I'm just dying, right? You can also change the enemy damage type. So you can choose to, naturally it's on average, and you could choose, is it an untype? Is it melee? How is my melee hit? My melee hit's like, okay. How's my spell hit? How's my projectile spell hit? How's my, you know, how's my everything? And all of that information, by changing all of these stats, are found over here on the left. Is the map delirious? How much delirium do I have on it? How strong are the monsters? Are the enemies ignited? Are they burning? Are they chilled? Are they shocked? Is it a red map? Is it a yellow map? Is it a white map? What kind of prefixes are on the map? What kind of suffixes are on the map? There's a lot of information in Path of Building that you can actually click and set up to see how your character's rolling. Now, this character that I'm playing now, you know, especially if like, I'm going to walk you through steps of it, I don't know what it has, right? I actually have no idea. And I can come take a look. I gain onslaught on kill and the enemy's covered in ash. Now we go to this and we say we gain onslaught and the enemy's covered in ash. You know, is the enemy burning? We know that he's going to be exploding and he's going to be burning. Do we have charges? I don't know. Do we have charges? We look around, we don't see that we're taking any extra charges. We check the skills, we don't see any charges. We check the gear, we don't see any charges. Now we go down the list. Do we have Arcane Surge? Do we have Arcane Might? Are we Fortified? Are we Tailwind? Are we Adrenaline? Do we have our Flask active? We can actually click this and then you can go to items and you can actually see by clicking your flask how this affects things like your life regen. Now you'll notice right away right here, I have life regen. And as I click off these flasks, you know, you can see that my life regen changes. If I click on Divination Distillate, I have more life regen. You can see my resistances as I click on the flask and pretty much everything that's going on. Now, the configuration tab does become a little bit of a pain, especially if you don't know what the character is doing. You will have to spend some time looking at the character, looking at the stats to kind of really see what's going on. Other really cool things before we get into the damage side of things, if I want to know more about my defenses of the character that I'm playing, I can actually come to the calculations tab. This tab to me is very overwhelming at first and really like confuses the hell out of me. But after spending some time in here and playing with it, you know, you can really see some interesting things. So, for example, with my AFK Chieftain, I know a lot of my damage comes from the on-kill monster explosion. So I'm going to set that as my main skill. With that, I can actually see what kind of damage I do. And you can see right here, you can see Fizz, Lightning, Cold, Fire, Chaos. We can see that all of these are 0. We can see the type of damage that we're doing. It actually shows us the calculation. We can see the radius. So this is exactly how big my explosion is. And now knowing that this is here, I can actually test things. Like if I take off my amulet with increased area of effect, does my radius change? And you can see it become smaller. Same thing with my helmet. If I take off my helmet because my helmet has AoE on it and I go back to calculations, you can see it once again become smaller. Knowing that stuff like this exists in POB and looking at characters, you can start to piece together why certain things work and how they're interacting with each other. Other really cool things that POB has to offer, it can show you all of your ignite damage and, you know, all of your damage period, where your damage comes from, the calculations for your damage and how it all works. You can see all of your resistances. And if I click on this, and if I left click on this, I can move my mouse and this will stay on the screen and I can actually like piece together and take a look at where all of my resistances are coming from. I could take a look at where all of my strength is coming from, where all of my dex is coming from, where all of my int is coming from, you know, or where all of my int requirements are. I could take a look at my base armor. I could take a look at pretty much everything. And there's a lot of hidden tabs too. You can check out your damage avoidance. Am I avoiding any damage? You can check out your flask, how my flasks are working. You can come all the way down to other types of avoidance. We can see that I'm freeze avoid, and we can see that that's coming from Arctic armor. We can see this is coming from the flask to give us poison immunity. We can see how much crit immunity we have. We can see how, you know, our blind. We can see other sources of ailment. So like if a build ever tells you that they're ailment immune and you're like, well, I don't understand. How are you ailment immune? Where's the ailment immunity coming from? You can actually click the calculations tabs and come on over to other ailment and pretty much see, well, I guess it's not telling me where all the ailments are coming from, but you can see if a build is really ailment immune. So if you came down to other ailment defenses and this was like 0 or 50, you'd be like, who you lying to? Who you BSing? You know? And it's just really interesting information like that. The biggest problem with path of building is most people don't realize it exists, or most people are too intimidated by it. But if you start just messing around in here, you can see a lot of interesting things. Like I can actually see my suppression chance, right? You can see so much information. Now, something that's really cool. Let me bring up another character that I know how to set up. This character should have gear on it. If I bring up my character, nope, that's the wrong character. What is the character that I do Sanctum with? Is it this guy? I think it's this guy. If I bring up my character and I want to check other things, so like I get it, I have defense. How do I check my offense? Now, if I bring up my offense and I click on my penance brand and I click this button here, including full DPS, if I click this button and I scroll down, my full DPS is included here. So if I unclick this, you see it disappears. If I re-click this, it gives me my full DPS. And then you could do things. If I know I put 2 brands on an enemy, I can click the button 2, if you know, and you can check things like that. Now with configurations, if you know the configuration, is the enemy on full life? Is the enemy on low life? You can actually see where the enemy is. What kind of enemy am I fighting? Do I have brands active? Number of brands active. I know with this character, I have 5 brands active. Number of brands that attaches to an enemy, I know it's 2. I know I have wave of conviction. So we're just going to assume wave of conviction for lightning. Is the enemy shocked? Yes, the enemy's shocked. Is the enemy chilled? Is the enemy burning? I know I'm doing all that. Do I have power charges? Do I have frenzy charges? Do I have endurance charges? I know I have all that. Am I elusive? I know I'm elusive. have you chilled, ignited, and shocked recently? I have, thanks to Wave of Conviction and everything else going on. And I can set and choose all of these calculations based on what the character's doing, and I can actually see my full DPS. Something that's really interesting that a lot of people really miss. For example, Penance Brand of Dissipation. You look at this damage, you say, oh wow, you're only doing 31 million. And then you realize that's on Energy Pulse. Now, I can choose and see by clicking this how my damage ramps up throughout the duration of Penance Brand, or I could choose Max Pulse and I can see right away where my damage is. How much damage have I done? What's going on? Do I lose damage if I take exposure off? Do I lose damage if the enemy's not ignited? Do I lose damage if I have Unnerve? Where is all of my damage coming from? And you can actually click around and see how, you know, how these different things are affecting your damage. Now, another thing too with Path of Building that's really cool is I know me personally, I am not the best builder of builds. I know I am not the smartest when it comes to creating something from scratch, but I do know I like to mess around and see how things work. For example, I would love to play Lightning Conduits of the Heavens. I don't have the brain power to figure out a build, but I do have the basic knowledge to start messing around in Path of Building. And I could see just from messing around how it will work. Do I want to play a witch? Do I want to play a duelist? And I can select characters and starting points on the tree without having the gear. I can even go as far as to like choose the skills that I want to play and be able to put these skills in and see what the damage looks like with no points at all, with just a level 20 gem. 20 quality on a gem. I can see what I hit, what I don't hit, how much gear I need, what's going on. I can really mess around. Something else that's pretty cool too is a lot of people will give you leveling trees, or you'll follow Path of Buildings, or you'll do different things, you know, at League Start. So I make a lot of builds for League Start and I put a lot of notes in these things, and a lot of people miss these notes and they don't see these things. I'm actually looking for my League Starter. So I had a League Starter for Lightning Arrow Ballista back in Crucible League. I, you know, made a video about it and I put that video out, and a lot of people actually miss things like there's entire notes sections that you can have in Path of Building to put notes for yourself so that you know what's going on. With your trees, you can actually down here make different trees and different areas for trees. So a lot of times when content creators, we make these leveling guides for you with Path of Building, you can actually choose to follow the tree if it exists, and you can see all kinds of different things. And you know, like I said, I meet a lot of people and I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people really struggle with Path of Building. They have a lot of hiccups and a lot of problems. And you know, if you're POE vet, you probably know all this already. But for a lot of the newer guys who struggle with Path of Building and they're too shy or too scared to ask questions, I hope this really helps. You know, I wanted to make something very simple and very easy, because I see a lot of you guys who struggle, and you know, I hear that I don't get it, I don't want to ask, I don't know. And I encourage you guys to ask these questions about Path of Building, especially if you're lost or if something doesn't work or you want to just get better at it. Ask. And if you have questions right now about this video, or you're confused about something, ask down below and we'll try to make a little, you know, we'll pin questions and stuff so people see. But for now, I just wanted to get something very simple, very straightforward, very to the point, and just show you guys that Path of Building itself is, you know, it's scary, it's overwhelming, but if you start to break it down and start to look at things, you can find that you can do some really cool stuff. You can even, bro, you can even choose what skill set, and like you can make notes about your own character. There's just so much that you can do. I hope this helps. I really do. I hope this helps. You know, I hope this makes it a little less intimidating and makes it a little bit more straightforward. But yeah, let me know. And if you want more content like this, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to stop on over by the Discord. You know, I hope to, you know, interact and help you guys some more. But for now, friends, let me get this video out to you guys. See you all in the next one.